Hi everyone! I hope you all had a fantastic Jubilee weekend. I did actually manage to go out to one of the events in Horsham, which was on the Friday, and it was packed. It was absolutely full of live music, families, and I got a little bit emotional. Not because it was a Jubilee, but because it's life going back to normal, and to see the number of people just mingling together and celebrating together, it was just absolutely a beautiful thing. And then I got a cold. You mix with people, you get germs. So I'm like, well, thank you very much for that. No more outings for me for the rest of the week. But yeah, it was absolutely, the celebrations across the whole of the UK, the Commonwealth, were just amazing. So many people threw street parties all over the weekend. Whenever I went out driving to take the dogs out for a walk, I was just going past entire road closures and everything. I mean, what a wonderful time to have been British and to be in the UK. It truly was a magical experience. So before you guys get too excited and start typing about, have you seen baby Lily, I'm going to talk about baby Lily in the next video, because I'm going to do a video on the royal children to do with the Jubilee celebrations. So bear with, hang tight, that's the next video. So for this video, I've called it The Family That She Never Had. Now this does obviously go back to when Harry famously said, when he was being interviewed on the radio, that the royal family were going to be the family that Meghan never had. This obviously triggered a lot of things. It upset the Markles, it upset the Raglans, it upset all of Meghan's family. As time has gone by, we've since come to learn that Meghan didn't quite have the orphan Annie upbringing that she obviously tried to sell Harry. But more pointedly, the fact that Harry was then celebrating that his wife-to-be was joining this wonderful family, the family she never had. That was Harry bigging up his family. It's going to be amazing. She's joining my wonderful family. How times have changed. Very different opinion of his family, especially when it came to the Oprah interview. Harry portrayed the royal family as cold, uncaring. They were spiteful. They were racist towards his poor pregnant wife. They didn't care when Meghan was suicidal and she was at a point that she desperately needed medical attention. They left her to it because the royal family, it's not what they do. But Harry went on and doubled down when he did the Me You Can't See, he did the Dax Shepherd podcast, and he spoke about how he had to rescue Archie from such an awful situation, that growing up as part of the royal family would literally ruin his son's life. He would be forced to grow up in an awful fishbowl. The royal family and their children are naturally born and inflicted with pain and suffering that's passed down through generations. But from what I saw over the weekend celebrations, nothing could be further from the truth. We had the Yorks, we had the Cambridges, we had the Tyndalls, we had the Phillips children. We had them all mingling together and getting along like any other normal family. We saw children baking cakes like many children around the UK did with their mummy and their daddies in the kitchen. We saw cool aunties and uncles playing with their nieces and nephews. We saw kisses and cuddles between cousins, big cousins, young cousins, cousins looking after each other. We saw big sisters keeping younger brothers in check. Big cousins looking after the younger ones. We saw a father-in-law blow kisses to his daughter-in-law at church. We saw the cool uncle again, who was working his way through a parade of various hats, showing the humorous side to his marriage and the fact that he doesn't take himself too seriously. I saw wonderful photographs and images of great-grandchildren smiling in absolute adoration at their great-grandmother. I saw adorable moments with mothers and sons, mothers and daughters. I saw brothers and sisters laughing and sharing jokes, not just the younger generations, but the older generations as well. I saw a group of the younger royals plotting mischief for mayhem and no doubt world domination. I saw the love of a grandfather with his grandson bouncing him on his knee. I saw a cheeky 4-year-old push his mum's buttons out of excitement, but then you saw him be adorable with her, as children often do when they know they might have just overstepped a little bit, to say sorry. I saw daughters playing with their fathers. I saw cousins from all different age groups playing and having fun, singing, dancing, clapping. We saw sisters mingling with their husbands, their children, their stepchildren. We saw happiness, we saw fun, we saw love. We saw many special, genuine moments that were just captured of a close and loving family interacting with each other, all different age groups, all different types of relatives. So you'll have to forgive me that I find it very hard to believe Harry's version of events of what it's like to grow up trapped in that family, because to me, the only person that seemed trapped and miserable was Harry himself, with images literally the same as what they were when they were leaving, escaping the palace, to what they are now. There seems to be only one man that truly seems miserable with his circumstances. So let's talk about the brief, much hyped up visit of the Montecito duo. It was brief, they didn't stay very long, they definitely didn't stay till the end. So all this big hoo-ha that went on for days, weeks in the run up to the Jubilee, we saw them at two separate events. Now, firstly, there was a big announcement that the couple were going to fly below the radar. They were not going to make a spectacle of themselves. Yet still, they managed to get their photographs taken and released to the worldwide media when they were meant to be laying low at the first family engagement that they went to. Obviously, you know the photographs I'm talking about. They attended Trooping of the Colour. Now, they were not invited to the balcony. That was only the senior working royals that did have their photographs there. But not long after the Cambridges left to do the journey to Buckingham Palace to have the historical photographs taken with the Queen, Harry and Meghan managed to make an appearance at the windows, shushing the children. It seems, if rumours are to believe, that not many of the adult royals wanted to mix with them, and their only chance of getting photographs that would be Netflix content, proving that they are still much loved members of the family, was they bent down to the children who were watching the bands play. Now you can imagine, I was watching it live on TV, how loud it was, but they felt the need to shush the children that were excitedly playing near the windows. Now this was Savannah Phillips, Lena and Mia Tyndall, and we had Meghan crouching down doing the shh, just in full perfect view of the window, and then Harry does the same. You'll have to forgive me for being a bit cynical, but it's the same as the photograph that was taken with them arriving, where Meghan literally wound down the window, so ensuring the photographers could see them coming, that they were in fact there. Bearing in mind the couple was suing, or still suing, the Home Office due to their security concerns. So they had this, security driven, no doubt bulletproof, I don't really know, but these top-notch security cars, and Meghan winds down the window to smile to make sure she has her photograph taken. It's at odds with a couple that are so security conscious. But if you close up here, you can see Harry's face. Harry does seem a little bit shocked or perplexed that his wife has done so. Maybe he couldn't believe how strong and brave his wife was to risk the potential hit of a flying tomato. So yes, do I think that was set up with them shushing affectionately at the window? Yes, I do. I think they saw an opportunity and they went for it. The same with the window being wound down. As I said, it's at odds with all of their security concerns. Now, the next day we had St Paul's Cathedral service. Now, this was where the fun really began. Firstly, those of you from outside the UK that may not be aware, we are not very impressed with our politicians at the moment, and our Prime Minister got out the car and received a chorus of very embarrassing loud boos as he and his wife took to St Paul's Cathedral steps. It was highly entertaining, but people expected the same with Harry and Meghan when they arrived. And I'll be honest with you, I was watching it live. I heard mainly cheers as they went up the steps. I did, however, hear a couple of boos just as they got to the very top. Now, the people went nuts over social media. You had the Sussex Squad fan base defending that people were making it up. There were no boos, but reporters that were actually there were tweeting furiously. There were definitely boos, but there were also loud cheers. So then what happened when they exited the church, which was very much a very resounding, very loud boos? There's no way the cathedral bells could drown it out, and I'll show you the clip in a little while. But it got me thinking, why was it that they weren't booed so badly as they went into the cathedral? Well, when I look back at footage and I looked at different things that were being posted on social media, people that were in the crowds, you saw the angle of which people were going up the stairs. Meghan and Harry were reportedly late. Now, the reason why I say this and I believe this is because could you imagine Harry and Meghan wanting to appear? The Wessexes went in, then the York princesses went in, and Harry and Meghan came in behind them. Given the fact that Meghan, in her green frog outfit, near enough jumped over the chairs to ensure that they walked in front of Sophie and Edward at the Commonwealth service a few years ago, I found it really interesting that they had indeed turned up behind them this time. But as footage shows, the York princesses, there's a photograph of Bea turning around here just as Harry and Meghan arrive. So the York princesses, Eugenie and Beatrice with their husbands Edo and Jack, were on the stairs halfway. So this is where cheers were still coming as the royal family was still on the steps. Now, as Harry and Meghan went up the steps, they were stood talking for a little bit of a lengthy amount of time to the guy on the middle that was, welcoming everyone. I think that they did this so it ensured that they had more of a solo entrance into the church. And this would make sense that the York sisters had gone in, that the Wessexes had gone in. When Harry and Meghan made it to the top, that's when a few boos came in. I think that they were kind of buffered by members of the royal family. Now, this also makes sense to me as well because Harry and Meghan got their walk through the church. Look at the congregation. This was one hell of a walk of shame. I felt my internal cringe going off. No, I don't feel sorry for them. Do I think they deserved it? Absolutely. The members of the public are not very forgiving, and that is extremely obvious. Nor are the congregation. As I said, it just absolutely was a mortifying moment. And it was one of many to follow because Harry and Meghan, this is why I believe that they were late, whether they were intentionally late because they didn't want to walk in with the other royals or whether it was purely coincidental and accidental, but they then got to their seats. Now, bearing in mind that royal get-togethers and seating arrangements are finalised months in advance. That's why they are escorted, so they don't have any embarrassing moments like this. Harry clearly looking perplexed. I'm presuming he wasn't impressed because he's pointing, which is so incredibly rude, especially when it's pointing at lots of people. He is realising that his and Meghan's seats are next to Lady Sarah Chatto, which is Princess Margaret's daughter, the Queen's sister who's passed. And he didn't seem very impressed, but you can see that the gentleman, the usher with him, is saying, yes, sir, these are your seats. Now, any normal family members might have said, can you bump down? Is that another reason why Harry and Meghan were deliberately late? Because they thought, we know where our seats are, but if we turn up late, we can get Beatrice and Eugenie to bump on down, and then we get more of a money shot closer to the royals on the other side of the pews. Well, it didn't work out. So Harry and Meghan shuffled in. And the fact that Harry and Meghan's face throughout this service, again, Meghan, she knows how to put on a grin, but Harry was extremely unhappy. They had people glaring at them from behind. You had Major Johnny Thompson, who did not take his eyes off them. And to be fair, the congregation probably didn't take their eyes off Major Johnny Thompson either. He's a bit of a Scottish hunk. And he's escorted the Queen on various other engagements. So it would seem that the Queen was keeping a very close and watchful eye on the couple. Lady Sarah Chatto, there were several points where she did not look very impressed. She was probably privy to the conversations going on between the sulky prince and his wife. Harry cannot contain. He's always been very expressive with his face. He quite clearly is caught several times glaring over, whether it's at his father, Camilla, Prince William. It did not look good. It did not look very mature. And Lady Sarah Chatto, she is giving him the look that everyone else is. Now, one of my favourite bits is when the service had ended and they got up to leave. This moment was hysterical for me, which probably added to Harry's bad temperament when he left. And it was like a game of Where's Waldo or Where's Wally in the UK. There he is. Can you see him yet? Can you see him yet? No, behind that. There we go, right the way at the back. So you know that Harry's ego is literally taking a pummeling at this point. Now, they came out onto St. Paul's steps. Now, this is the best bit. This is the bit you've been waiting for. The royals congregated at the top. They were obviously waiting for their cars. Mike Tyndall and Peter Phillips blanked Harry and Meghan. The only one that was polite enough to speak to them was Zara, and I think that was because Harry was asking about his car. So they were basically ignored upon exit, and this is where I say the reason why the boos were louder when they left was because there were no other royals on those steps to buffer it. And here you go. To my ears. I honestly was beginning to lose a little bit of faith with the members of the public when they went up the steps. But having now realised that there were other members of the royal family being applauded as they went up, it makes total sense. So on their exit, on the way out, they got Boris's welcome and exit. The public are not happy. This isn't just one or two people on YouTube that say that they're not particularly fond of Harry and Meghan. The UK is very upset with the treatment that they have done to an elderly woman, to his family, to, Prince Philip when he lay dying. They have shown the absolute utmost disrespect, cold, callous behaviour, and they deserved every single boo. So it's hardly surprising that the couple were not seen again and then made it swiftly back through Farnborough Airport onto their private jets and flew back to Montecito. Is it because they were booed? Because they didn't get their money shots? I don't know. Maybe they weren't invited to attend, which was one of the most spectacular events of the entire Jubilee weekend. I recorded it. I'm going to watch it again. I loved it. And that was the Platinum Jubilee pageant and stroke concert. It started off with our wonderful Queen doing a skit with Paddington Bear. She had tea with Paddington, or Paddington had tea with her. And we also saw that the Queen likes to keep marmalade sandwiches in her handbag. This to me was such a cute moment, and it almost trumps, I don't know, it's on par with each other, when the Queen did her Olympic ceremony entrance where she parachuted in with James Bond. I mean, that, again, legendary. It shows that the Queen, even at her age now, is not past having a giggle. And that is just where the fun began. We had some of the most amazing displays done by drones. I think drones should overtake fireworks displays. We saw tea being poured, we saw corgis, we saw the Queen's face on a stamp in the sky. I mean, this was absolutely amazing to watch. We had performances from Diana Ross, Rod Stewart, Brian May, Jason Donovan, Alicia Keys. The Eurovision, he's winner as far as I'm concerned, but second place, Sam Ryder. We had Elton John, who had his face screened onto the background. I mean, this was completely iconic. We had wonderful speeches from Prince William and Prince Charles, who affectionately referred to the Queen as Mummy, much to the delight of the crowd. So it got me as well. It's become a bit of a thing with Charles, getting on stage, having a cheeky grin as he mentions his mummy, and it's adorable. But the whole event was just phenomenal. No wonder the children were just sitting there in absolute awe, and the adults as well. But it's such a shame that you didn't see Archie there with his parents. Maybe they weren't invited to this. Maybe they literally got the hump and they flew home after being booed at St Paul's Cathedral. I find the whole thing very, very bizarre. I know we've since had a picture released of Lilibet, but you just didn't see Archie there, even at Trooping of the Colour. You think he'd be there watching out the window with his cousins. So that is definitely strange. All of those things I don't know. But what I do know is they were thwarted in their little conniving plans. They were seated so far away from the senior royals that they couldn't get any photographs done, that they couldn't get their photographs with any of them, apart from, they had to resort to using the younger royals to get their photographs in the newspapers. The Queen reportedly slapped them down, and the aides said that they are not allowed to have taken photographs of baby Lily when she went and met the Queen. The fact that the couple had the audacity to ask to take in their photographer and had to be slapped down is just unbelievable, because it would have just been used. We all know it would have been used, and it would have ended up on US TV networks sold for big bucks. So I'm really glad that didn't happen. Overall, I think that the Queen, the royal family, the aides, I think everyone handled them perfectly. They were invited to come as family members, and they weren't given any allowances to use it, to merchandise it, and I think they played an absolute blinder. So I'm going to end this video, guys, on the couple's exit from St Paul's, because it's just too good not to watch again. See you soon. Bye.
If you like my video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please, angry typists, you will be blocked, so save your fingers the time. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please go to my About page and click the link. Love, Taz.